Hello, St. Philip's. This is Father Richard with the Weekly Word. It's December the 3rd, 2020. 2020, so 2020 has felt, for me at least, like a year out of time, like a desert of time, empty, just like this wasteland, and it feels like somebody pressed the stop button on life back in February or March, and we've just all been on hold. The truth is, though, I know this for myself, and I have seen this at work in others, is that God is still at work even when it looks like there's nothing going on. God is always stirring the deep waters. Even though you don't see anything in the surface, there's something happening. Even in the darkness, God is at work. Most of us have heard the phrase, or used the phrase, dark night of the soul. And that actually that's a title of a book that was written by a Catholic monk. His name was John of the Cross. He lived in Spain in the 16th century, and he spent 11 months of his life in a Spanish monastery prison, which is an interesting thing to think about, a monastery having a prison. I'm not sure why he was in his own monastery in a prison, but he was. But it was during those months that he began to write his book, Dark Night of the Soul. And he wrote these words. I have to read these to you. In the happy night, in secret, when none saw me, and I saw no one, without light or guide, except that which burned in my heart. O night that guided me, O night more lovely than the dawn, O night that joined beloved with lover. O night that guided me, O night more lovely than the dawn. It sounds like Brother John of the Cross. It sounds like his dark night was ultimately a blessing of sorts, a path that led him to God. Now, the Bible uses language of darkness and light a lot, and this is something we think about during the season of Advent, of course. The light breaking in, that's the symbolism of the liturgical candles, the Advent wreaths that we light, as we get closer and closer to the birth of Jesus. Another candle is lit each week, and it's light breaking into the world, the light of Christ. One of my favorite books of the Old Testament is Isaiah, the prophet. Isaiah wrote these words 500 years before Christ, and they're taken as a prophecy about Jesus coming. The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who lived in a land of deep darkness, on them light has shined. And but I've also been doing some thinking about about darkness being a teacher. And those of you who have been through difficult times, and that's pretty much all of us, know that we do learn things when times are good, when things are well, and we are well, and our loved ones are well. But we learn some deep truths also when life is hard, and when there is suffering, when things go dark. And maybe that's something we need to think about during this life on hold year 2020. We are, the church is working on a couple things for the Christmas season, and I wanted to call your attention to those. I'm going to be leading probably either at 10 or 11 in the morning on Christmas Day. I'll be leading a morning prayer from my home. I don't know if I'm going to do it live. If I can figure out how to do that, we'll do it live. If I can't, I'll record it. But so that'll be Christmas Day at 10 or 11. More information to come. We're also for sure going to have a Christmas Eve Vigil. Like the church always has. It'll be virtual, of course. Unfortunately, maybe next year things will be different. And we're also thinking about a service of lessons and carols. And we're trying to figure out a way to make the Christmas pageant happen, but so far have not come up with any real good answers to that. If you have any ideas at all, please email Anthony Calzia or myself. If you'd like to be involved in planning or have a brainstorm about how to make that happen. I know that's important at this church. And it would be beautiful if we could pull it off. So until we hear from you, until next week, God's peace, God's grace, God's mercy, and blessed Advent.